All right, my friends, here we are. We will see if this is working today. If you are joining us for the first time, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Alan C. Paul. I am the host and founder of God and Gigs, and we are here in Orlando in a chilly day in the 40s and 50s, but still in Orlando. And I'm here in the lobby of the Renaissance Hotel. Hopefully, we have audio. It looks like everything is working. The Wi-Fi is behaving so far. So I am praying that everything works in our favor, that that the mic is working, that you can hear me okay. We're literally in the lobby, so you're going to hear a lot of noise, but it seems like everything is working so far. And that's a blessing because you guys know between technical tech and Wi-Fi and hotels usually does not mix. And there are thousands of podcasters here, but I see very few of them who are trying to use their equipment right now. But of course, a lot of them are on the Wi Fi, and you know how that is. So I appreciate you guys being willing to join me today. If you're watching on replay, this is super cool because I get to share with you today what's going on in my head as I prepare to speak at this conference in Podfest. Podfest is the largest independent podcasting convention and community. And so, as you know, we have the God and Gig Show, which is our podcast that's been around since 2017. And it's just a blessing to realize that my world has now grown to include this incredible community at Podfest. Spoke here first, I think, in 2021, or that's 2020 in a virtual event. And then I've pretty much spoken like maybe 3 or 4 times since then. And this week, I'll be speaking on 5 ways to build a trusted podcast brand by aligning visuals and video and visuals and voice. And so this is what we're doing. So I can pull up your comments. If you decide to join us, if you are on, you can comment and we can pull that up just like that. And so that way we know that you are watching, that you are listening, that you are following along. And if you're watching on replay, I also encourage you to go to the comments because that engagement helps us share. It helps us kind of just, see what you're thinking. And so you can continue the conversation even if you are not live watching at 1 p.m. Eastern. Because once again, I know it's not possible for everybody. We have a lot of our community of creators who are full time and work. And I work from Monday through Thursday at my church, so I get it. It's very hard for me to get out at 1 p.m. Eastern, but I'll give an example. LaShonda Brown, our amazing friend at Bootstrap Biz Advice, she does her lives at 10 a.m. on Monday, and I'm not able to go. But you know what? I almost always do. I almost always go home, turn it on, listen, and follow along as I'm driving. So I still get a chance to enjoy what's going on in her community. So I know a lot of people think the same thing in terms of this live stream. Once again, as long as everything seems to be working, as long as we're getting audio, which it looks like everything is working fine. I'm looking, we have the noise cancellation, so hopefully that helps. Output volume, I'm hitting that little yellow. So that means that we are in the green, and I think we're doing okay. All right. Well, in that case, let's go ahead and share. I always think this is super cool when I can go live from on location. It makes me feel like I'm a reporter or something like that. Let's see. We have a couple of windows that we don't have. We got to get our slides, which I also have, and I want to make sure you can get to that or see it. We have to make this a little smaller. There we go. Now you should be able to see what we're talking about today. Let's go back one. All right, there we go. So our agenda for today, if you are just, wondering what Podfest is, we're going to, obviously, as I've been explaining, tell you what we're doing here at Podfest. Then we have a U version plan update, and then our January workshop announcement. I want to make sure that you're up to date on what's happening there because we had to change the time of that. So just be aware of that change. Then we're going to go ahead and go into our vital signs, which is talking about progress or perfection. This is the little thing that my wife and I kind of discussed the last couple of days, and I'm realizing that she's right about this, so I'm going to share a little bit about that. Then we're going to get into our lab work. Our lab work is really what I'm doing right now. I'm going to other presentations. I'm watching all these speakers, and I have to speak tomorrow at 10:40 a.m. And yeah, I got to let you know that not everything in my presentation was solid. There have been things that I've thought about in the last hour, or the last day, that make me want to change things, and maybe I shouldn't change things. So I want to tell you my mindset and the tools I'm using to prepare that presentation. If you have considered, and probably should consider, sharing at a certain event, doing your own podcast, doing your live streams, and sharing what you have to share with the world, your God given creative gift. I want you to hear what I'm going through so that you can do the same. So, and then we will do the consult. The consult is, what's your creative expertise? I want to know what you think is your expertise and your authority so that we can help you build it and share it with the world as God has given you the ability to do so. And then finally, we will get into our prescriptions, which is the last thing we always share. One thing that we think you should be doing. Let me put this over here so I can actually look at the camera a little bit. You guys see a little bit of the actual production here. So at least this way I'm looking a little bit more in your direction. All right, I think that works a little bit. There's something going on. Somebody's cheering or having some kind of cool thing going on. I don't know what it is. And once again, if you are here, if you are commenting, let's see, public chat. So remember, yeah, I don't know what is going on or where that is. And maybe the noise cancellation is working, but if not, you guys are hearing a bunch of cheering of something that is going on, and I'm just not sure what it is. There we go. So remember, I can pull up your comments and show them right here. There it goes. Just take a second to pop up. And again, if there's any technical issues, let me know, because again, we're going live with a public Wi-Fi. This is not ideal. I wanted to make sure that I still went live with you today. So mindset, and what we shared was, let's see, make sure we're still connected. Okay, yep, still connected. What we shared was the 5 mindsets that could be secretly undermining your creative career, your Christian creative career. And the reason that I wanted to get into this is a quiz that we actually created for you. I'm gonna take these headphones out, just because it's kind of throwing me off a little bit. But the reason we decided to do that was because many of us have an internal operating system that literally is kind of influence every decision you have. We talked about the closet creator, the corporate creator, the conflicted creator, the complicated creator, and then finally the confident creator. Like, every one of us has one of those 5 mindsets. And depending on which mindset you have, could have a huge impact on the way that you live your creative life. And so that's why I want to make sure that we addressed it, that I didn't leave anything open. Now, if you take the quiz at godandgigs.com/quiz, let me see if I have that real quick. If you take the quiz, you'll see which one you are, but maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you haven't even considered the possibility that you have one of these mindsets. And that's why I want to make sure you check it out. It's episode 369, episode 369. So I can go to episode 369 and check that out. Let me see. I want to make sure if I have the link to that as well. Give me half a second if I can find it. Oh, I don't have. Yes, I do. Right here. So guidinggigs.com/quiz. Okay. So that's where you can find that. Now, let's move on. And this is obviously where I am right now. I don't know if you have time to get here. If you decide to, if you are in Orlando, you can join us exactly where I am right now, as I mentioned. And I'll be speaking tomorrow, as I mentioned, at 10 o'clock, 10:40-ish or something like that. And we'll be talking about this whole idea of building a trusted podcast brand. So again, probably, if you're watching this on Friday night and you are in Orlando, you could possibly make it and just check out and see if you can make it. Or I believe there are also recordings available of this. So you might want to consider getting the recordings so you can watch all of these different amazing speakers. I've been so inspired. I've been educated. I've got so many little nuggets that are going to vastly improve everything. Even that I'm doing right now is kind of like what I filtered through the last couple of sessions I've watched. And I would definitely invite all of you, doesn't matter if you have a podcast or not, get involved in Podfest, get involved with other content creation communities like this one, because the impact is immeasurable over time of being around other creators who think like you think, who are trying to share their message. And even though this is not specific a Christian conference, clearly the message is community, and that can only bless you. As a matter of fact, as soon as I finish this live stream, I'm going to be going back into Christian creators breakout session, which is all of us are believers, all of us are creators, all of us are entrepreneurs, and we're all sharing. And so that's just the kind of synergy that you can feel in a conference. If you haven't been to a conference, if you feel like, oh, conferences aren't for me, I would I would beg to differ. It's worth the investment, is worth pushing yourself out. So once again, consider getting out here or to another conference, or check out the replays. Just go to podfestexpo.com if you're interested in that. Always want to mention our U version plans. There are 6 of them. It's been so cool to be out here and talking with other authors and sharing that we have the U version plans online. Probably need to make sure that those are available on our website as well. So I'm going to make sure to do that. That is available once again at godandgeeks.com/U version. So let's see, we can pop that up. So you can always go check that out if you're new to our platform and you didn't know that we had the U version apps, users and plans on a U version app. That's where you can find them all. And then let's go ahead to welcoming our God and Geeks 360 membership. Thank you so much, you guys, for being a part of this. I appreciate so many of you, Pamela, Aisha, Charmaine, Simony. I appreciate you all. If you want to join them, we have our own app. We are not on Facebook in terms of a group. We are actually on our own app, which is super cool. You can simply go to godandgeeks.com/membership. You can join either, and this is, might change soon. So I want to make you aware. Right now, you can get into the Gold Mastermind community, or you can join the Creator Resource Group. The Creator Resource Group gives you access to all of our monthly workshops, including the ones that you've missed, so all replays, and you get to hear about taxes, how to handle your finances, how to build income, how to handle content creation, AI, all the things that might be hampering you or slowing you down as a confident creator. These are the things we talk about in our creator workshops. As a matter of fact, there's one coming up I'm about to tell you about. So you guys who are in the creator resource subscription, the resource membership, you get access to all of that, plus our app, plus our community, plus our discussions. Those in the gold membership get access to not just the lives, not just the workshops, but also live coaching at least once or twice a month. Okay. These are some of the things that people have said nice about us, and nice things that people have learned about us. They see, Simony and Claudette and Pamela, Charmaine, and so many others that have been blessed by the God and Geek 360 creator community. So I would invite you to join us. All right. A date change. This is a big thing for our creator workshop for January. We had to move it. So it's no longer on the 22nd. It's going to be on the 29th. Okay. So just be aware of that you'll need to be there. Our membership, you'll get the notifications. I have not yet created a link for people outside. So don't worry. We will allow people to join. And you can simply buy a membership to the creator resource to get access. So you don't necessarily have to wait for the link. We have been creating separate links for the workshop. I'm starting to wonder if that might just be a little bit extra work that people, obviously people want to come to just the workshop. I will make that available, but I'm thinking more and more that we should probably make it where it's only for the Creative Resource Center, and then you can just, people want to join and cancel, they can join and cancel. But we'll see about that. I'm still thinking about that, to be honest with you. So we shall see if that's the way we want to do that. Okay. But again, date change. Make sure you mark that for it will be for January 29th, and it'll be on a Bible study with my friend Wendy Coote, who is an incredible Bible teacher, but not only that, a practical creator who can tell you the tools that she uses to stay consistent with her Bible study habits. So I would highly recommend you check that out. Once again, if you are a part of our Creative Resource Center, you already get access to that and our gold membership as well. All right. Hopefully tech is working on our side and everything is still working. Okay, very cool. I'm going to make sure of that. And once again, if you want to chat while you're watching, remember, you can always give us a little shout out and that will pop up. Or if you're watching on replay, please make sure that you pop in the comments. Okay? All right. Let's see if we can find our stinger. Oh, we have to stop sharing. I forgot about that. Can't do the stingers at the same time. The stingers, by the way, if you want to know what that is, that's when the little thing brushes out real quick. And so it's a little bit of work to get it to work. But you know what? I feel like we can handle it today. So let's do this. And then we'll go back to our screen. So that was a little bit of extra stuff there, but I thought it was worth it. It gets us feeling a little bit more like we are producing something really cool. All right. So let's talk about progress or perfection. Which one are you aiming for right now? So, as I'm sharing right before Podfest, right before I speak at Podfest, I am really, really struggling with the idea of having the perfect presentation. Why is that? It's because there's so many amazing speakers that are here with me. I mean, I just got to see Roberto Blake, who we had on our podcast back in May of 2025, who's a YouTube expert. Pat Flynn was presenting here. We've had so many people who have been incredible speakers, and I get to watch them over and over and over again. And here's the thing, as I watch them, I get that kind of intimidation. I get that comparison, and I start to think, well, I need to have just as good a presentation as they do. Of course, I'm assuming that their presentation was perfect. Perfect in terms of what I saw. I didn't see any flaws. I didn't see anything that happened. I didn't see any mistakes. I didn't see any slides that were out of order. So everything looked to me like they had it all together, and I want to match that perfection. So even as I'm talking here, I'll talk a little bit later about how I am working on these tools and preparing and all that kind of stuff, or what I'm thinking the day before. But in terms of the progress versus perfection thing, I am right now working on my slides, right? And so we're driving up last night from Miami to Orlando. My wife and I, we had a late night or a nighttime training at my church. So we had to leave about 9 o'clock. It's 3.5 hours to Orlando. So we went ahead and left. And all the time, my brain is like going, okay, do I have all the slides I need? Do I have all the things? And I'm ruminating over all the things I can do to improve the slideshow. And honestly, I was in a mode of I got to be perfect. I got to make it perfect. It has to wow everyone. I got to do all the bells and whistles. And sure enough, my wife kind of hit me with this one, and I wrote about it in the newsletter. If you want to read about it, go to godandgeeks.com/newsletter. But my wife hit me with there's my procrastinating perfectionist again. And man, I'm telling you, like, I was both mad and I was almost comforted. Like, okay, yep, you're right. Because my desire to be perfect was going to limit my progress in that I wasn't going to really fulfill everything that I could get out of this conference. I wasn't going to be as present. I was going to be constantly, and I have been, I'm being very honest with you. It's kind of like a little bit of creative therapy here. I was really wrestling with, do I deserve to be here? Even though I've spoken here many times, should I be speaking on this topic? Have I made enough progress? Do I have enough followers? Are people going to be impressed with me because I'm here? And the progress that I've made was erased. So I think what the lesson here, and I'm very, being very open and vulnerable with you, is I do think that the desire for perfection not only stops your progress, but it also erases the progress that you've already made. It limits you from the ability to really seeing how far you've come because you're so busy thinking about where you're not. And I have fallen into that. And the progress or perfection is recognizing and celebrating the progress I've made. I didn't speak on any stage just 5 years ago. Now I've spoken 3 or 4 times. Was not a voice in podcasting that knew anyone in podcasting. And now I can walk up to people like at the Buzzsprout tent, at the booth, and other people. And not that I want to be known or know people, it's just the relationships that are so strong, so powerful, even in aside the Christian creator space. And now I can say these people are my friends. These people like Alex Sanfilippo at Podmatch, who's also been on the podcast, who are building amazing communities of their own. And I can call those people my community as well. And if I focus on the perfection of just nailing this presentation tomorrow, I'm not going to be thinking about progress. I'm not going to acknowledge the progress. I'm not going to allow the progress to be something that really, really fuels me and gives me something to celebrate. So honestly, that's the entire vital signs today. It's just me sharing that progress matters more than perfection, and that perfection actually erases your memory and your ability to appreciate the progress that you've already made. Now, we are all creators here. We're all believers. We're all people who know that God has brought us a mighty long way, as they used to say. But I want to make sure that we're all starting 2026 without this burden of thinking perfection is the goal. Perfection is not the goal. Sanctification, hey, that'll preach. Sanctification is the goal, right? But not perfection. Perfection is not going to happen this side of heaven. So we are continually being perfected, and we're doing more and more. And I love the word that perfection, I think in the Greek, comes from complete. The idea is to be complete. We're trying to get more complete, but there's always going to be little pieces missing. But as we strive for perfection in terms of being more and more complete, we become more and more, we make more and more progress. So I hope that helped you. That was really honestly all I wanted to share in terms of the vital signs. If that blessed you, I would love to see any comments that helped you or any little takeaways in the comments. I'll be checking on the replay, obviously, to see how that helped you. But once again, value your progress over your perfection. All right. I like where we're going here. We're going to go ahead and play the next stinger, and we're going to jump into our lab work. We already did our vital signs. We're going to jump into our lab work. Oh, there it is. All right. So let's jump back into the screen and let's talk about what I'm thinking the day before presentation. Now, I gave you just now, like kind of an overview of my mental state, but I haven't really been talking about what I'm thinking in terms of the actual presentation. And so what I really feel like this will help, and what I might do is I might give you guys and maybe even a little heads up or a little sneak peek of what I'll be talking about. Matter of fact, let's do that. Hold up. Let's stop this for a second. Hopefully I won't regret this. And I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek of what I've already prepared. And maybe I can practice on you guys. Let's go here while I'm loading that up. And so I haven't shown this to anybody. So you're literally going to get to see, before the presentation, you're going to at least see a little bit of it, and I can practice on you guys. And so let's go to share. So here is the first slide that I'll be sharing tomorrow. And what I really, number one of the things I was telling you about earlier is where I'm really like getting all kind of bent out of shape was on that little loop. I really like the loop and the motion of visual because I'll be talking about aligning voice and visuals. And I really like the fact that there was motion in this particular slide that's almost imperceptible. And I think the first thing that I was thinking was people have been watching and seeing slides all weekend long. And so what I didn't want, and I know slides are not the hugest, most important thing, but what I didn't want is I didn't want slides that were like, that would make them, okay, here's another one, everything's tired. And I'm not like a very visual person. The whole point of this is that how can you create alignment between voice and visuals when you're not visually inclined? Pretty much every time I've spoken at Podfest, which is the most ironic thing, almost every time I'm talking about visuals and video, which again is not my calling card. But I love the fact that it pushes me and forces me to think more about this stuff. So that is the first slide. And I'll just show you kind of a little bit more, just like again, like a little bit of a teaser. And what I wanted to talk about next is then what people will learn that day. Okay. Now notice a couple of things. I stole these ideas. This is what I'm thinking. This is why this really helps. So there's two things on this slide that I hope people pick up tomorrow. Okay. One is that I really want to be actionable. One is that I really want to make sure people are not thinking that, oh, here's just another guy that's just talking about stuff that I really don't need. I want to make sure that everything I talk about is something that everyone can do. So I'm going to be breaking this down tomorrow into like things that every single thing is not like a big lift. It's not something that only people with 500,000 subscribers can do. This is something every single person can do, whether they're a YouTuber, whether they're a content creator, whatever area. And obviously, I'm not speaking to a faith audience. So no matter what your message is, I want to make sure that everybody can do this. So if you are thinking about doing a presentation one day, doing a speech, doing something like that, make sure that you think about the audience and the community you're speaking to. What do they need? What will they be able to relate to? And then the second thing I think you might notice, and I literally added this last night, is that QR code at the bottom. And so I've added a QR code because I saw that Roberto Blake yesterday, when I watched his presentation, had a QR code at every slide. And I said, that is so smart, because maybe somebody doesn't have their phone at the very end. You know how everybody like takes a picture at the very end and they have that slide or whatever. They have that last slide where everyone's like, oh, follow me here. But people are taking pictures all the way through the presentation. So I literally took this idea from last night's presentation. I said, let me do the same thing. And all I did was just add a footer to each slide. Now you might say to yourself, okay, look, I'm not doing presentations. I don't need to think about stuff like that. Here's why it applies to everybody. No matter what area you're in front of, creating ways that your audience, let's say musicians, creating ways that your audience can interact with you throughout the performance, throughout the presentation, where they don't have to wait for a certain point, but they can be interacting with you throughout. This is the way that I'm thinking. I want to make sure that there's interaction and ability for people to see things and do things. Even while I'm on another point, they could already be looking at, hey, this is what this guy's going to be offering at the end. So they don't have to wait for the end of the presentation to be already be moving toward, hey, let me connect with him more. So that's really what this is about. Now, I will tell you this as well. And just so you can see, again, I'm going to kind of give you these this is also practice for me on my slides to make sure everything works. So this is what I'm going to be teaching tomorrow. Okay. So when you see these points, I'm going to be really, really making sure that people don't think, this has been a big thing for me. I don't want people to think when I speak tomorrow that I'm trying to sell them on podcast coaching. Because here's the honest thing. I am a podcaster, but I am not a podcast coach. And I'm starting to get more and more comfortable with that fact. And it doesn't mean that I won't consult, that I won't. Literally doing it like almost, I did it on Tuesday. Like almost every other day, I am helping somebody with a podcast. But I was stressing myself out, like trying to think of what kind of lead magnet will I use? And then after I give them that lead magnet, what will they do next? I was stressing myself out trying to think of what funnel will I build? Where will they go after they see me? Will I have a bunch of people, clients? And to be perfectly honest with y'all, as you're watching this, I don't necessarily want a bunch of podcast clients, because that's not my lane, even though it's something I can do. So my mindset right now is, how can I create something that people will be able to act on? It will help them, but it does not force me to try to be something I'm not. It doesn't provide a service that I'm not going to be able to follow up on. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to make sure that whatever I do is sustainable for the people watching and who follow it, who listen to it, but not necessarily that it creates like some kind of business opportunity for me. I'm literally like taking myself out of the mindset of a building brand, like, everybody that watches is going to become my customer. Like, that's not my mentality at all. And I've really had to wrestle with this over the last few days. So again, remember that this is my presentation for tomorrow. So I gave you guys a little thing, but I am going to go, hold up. I am going to let me cycle real fast. I want you to see the last page as I go all the way through this. Again, you guys are catching some of the stuff that I'm going to be sharing tomorrow. So you get a very, very brief view, but I want to get to the last page. I'm not sure if I can, let me see if I can get to the last page. File, close window, presenter view. I'm literally figuring this out as I go. I don't think I can do a presenter view while I'm doing this. Yeah, I got to go all the way through it. That would take a long time. So we're not going to do that. But you guys got the kind of like the idea. So let's do this. Boom. All right. So the thing is that at the end of the presentation, because as I mentioned, I really don't want to do a call to action where it's going to be something I have to create a funnel and like follow up with people. So what I did was I'm focusing my last call to action not on following me. I'm actually focusing it on people rating my presentation. So here's the thing. I do believe that I could do this more often, speaking on more stages. I've been a podcaster. I've been doing this for a while. So I do know that there will be a opportunity to be a speaker. But here's the thing. If I don't have more examples, more reviews, more positive feedback, more testimonials of my speaking, people will never really know that I do that. And so one of the things that I'm focusing on, and I know LaShonda talks about this too, I'm making sure that my last call to action, my last thing is not focused on, hey, follow me here. My last thing is, did this help you? Did this presentation help you? Because if it did, and you want me to share this with other people, just give me a 5-star review and maybe send me a couple of feedback comments on what you thought about this presentation. And here's why I think this is going to be powerful. Is where my mindset is as I, the day before the conference, the day before I speak. The whole point that I'm thinking is, now that I'm doing this, how can I make sure that the people that I've engaged with immediately filter back and give me feedback on the value of it? Because if I can get that right when they're thinking about it, it's the best time. When they get home, a lot of them are going to, maybe they'll remember a couple of things, but most of them are probably not going to remember what they liked about it, what they didn't like. But I can capture their information right there. And again, remember, this is for everyone. Even if you're not a speaker, the idea is seizing the moment. The idea is the opportunity right when people are in front of you, right when people are blessing you, right when people are thinking about you. That moment, I think Lamar Tyler calls it the bliss point. So right at that moment is when I think is the best time for you to say, hey, what do you think? Can you leave me a review? Can you share this? And so this is where my head is at. Like, I'm thinking, obviously I'm going to practice my presentation. Obviously I'm going to do all that. But I'm really thinking, how can I make super sure that I capitalize on the goodwill on, if I do a good job, if I mess up something, like, it's fine. I just want to know so I can capture that moment and be as intentional with those people's time that are in this presentation I'm going to give tomorrow. So that's where my head is at. I am working on my slides. I'm making sure that I'm not doing too much comparison with other people, because it's just too easy to get caught up in that. It's too easy to get caught up in comparison and, oh my gosh, this guy used this slide. He used this. I should now, trust me, I'm still paying attention to what other people do. If something works really well for them, like, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna follow up with things that like are really good ideas. But trying to get this to go a little higher so I can see. There we go. But I am not going to try to copy other people's people. I'm not going to compare how many people stood up and clapped for this person. Like, I got to be myself. I got to be myself. And I think, again, the lesson in that for anyone that is also thinking of sharing your expertise, doing what you want to do on stage. Maybe you want to go to conference this year. Maybe you want to create your podcast this year. Maybe you want to write your book this year. But it is all about choosing your lane and being willing to capitalize right there on what you have to offer to people and what they have to offer to you, and going no further than that. That's, I think, the struggle. The struggle is oftentimes we try to go all the way down the rabbit hole of what's going to happen next and how many followers will I get, and it's a never ending source of trying to keep up with all the ideas and versus what can I do right now? What can I share right now? And how can these people, if there is interaction, if there is a community that's being built, how can we focus right now on the exchange of value and not make it difficult? Which is why, once again, I had to release myself from the idea that I was going to build some big, long funnel, big, long email sequence that somehow was going to encourage people to like become my the people that were going to be with me, for hours and days and months and years. Now that might happen. And the conference is this big. There's so many people I'm connecting with, but most likely I'm not going to connect with them, all of them, and I'm not going to. They're not all in my niche, and they're not all Christians, and they're not all creators. So that's cool, and I don't want to create a whole nother offer suite, for lack of a better word, that I'll have to maintain. So that's where I'm at. I'm just let's deliver value right now where I'm at. Let's not try to go down all the way past where I'll have a $1 million coaching business and podcasting. Again, if it happens eventually, great. But if it doesn't, that's fine. It's no big deal. It's not a big deal. Okay. So that was what was that? That was our lab work. Very, very cool. I really hope this is helping you. If this helps you in the comments, please let me know because, one of the things, of course, was, should I go live from the conference? That was one thing. The second thing was, obviously, the technology. And the third thing was, this is going to be valuable versus me, spending another hour in a conference hall. But I didn't want to take away from what I'm sharing with you as our God and Geeks community, which is why I decided, you know what? Let's fire up the camera, even if it's in the lobby. Let's go ahead and go live and let's see what happens. Okay. So I hope this is blessing you. I'm going to go ahead and let's get to our consult and let's see what we have there. We might skip ahead a little bit as I'm mentioning that just because um, I might need to get back. So this might be a shorter one than just an hour, but I just want to at least give you guys a chance for the consult, especially in the comments. So let's get to that part. All right. I'm getting more and more comfortable with the switching back and forth here, by the way. This is one of my things that I'm learning with using Riverside. So this is me doing the reps of learning how to use this program, and I'm getting better at it. So thank you guys for being patient while I work out all the little things that, almost had it. There we go. So let's go ahead and jump into, let's see, you got all that. And we did mindset, and we did this, 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 and we did that, and we did this. Now we are at the console. There we go. So this is my question to you in terms of, again, maybe you're not a speaker right now. Maybe you don't want to be a speaker. Maybe you don't want to be a presenter at a conference. But all of us as creators, we do have an expertise. And here's why I think this is super important for us to decide what's our core expertise. Because even though we spend so much time creating, learning to write, learning to draw, learning to create, learning to draw, play music, learning our instruments, you spend a ton of time on that. And it basically is, right? That's your expertise. But there is a sub-core expertise even within that. For my musicians, this is pretty easy, right? Your expertise might be in jazz and rock and blues. For my artists that are visual artists, your expertise might be in watercolors and sculpting. Your, filmographers, photographers, all of us have a expertise within that expertise, right? So your broad category and then the small category. So my challenge to all of you, even in the comments, is share what your core expertise is in terms of the thing that you could share the deepest on. What is the thing that if someone asked you to go deep, you could go deep like with the moment's notice? And notice that when I say, can you go deep on it, this really defines the expertise, the expert part. If you can only talk about it for about 5 minutes, it's probably not your expertise. That's probably not something that you want to go out and say, hey, this is what I put my authority on. This is what I wrap my entire brand, my creative platform around. But if you can go deep, like I could talk about this business kind of stuff, which again is weird because with podcasting, you'd think I wouldn't want to go deep into, anything else other than just music, but podcasting is something I can go deep in. So, as I mentioned, I'm not trying to become a podcast consultant, but I do want to share more. Whoops, sorry about that. I do want to share more. And so I could go deep into talking about podcasting. It's a core expertise now. I could go deep into talking about music and certain areas of music. Now, there's other ones I can't go deep on, other areas of music I can't go deep on. It's not a core expertise. I have some expertise, but it's not core. My core expertise are the things that I can, and again, you can tell now, you can develop a new core expertise, but it just takes years. And so I think one of the things that we need to be very aware of, all of us in this community, and if you're watching for the first time, thank you for joining us. This is where you got to be very honest with yourself. What are you willing to invest time in to be a expert that can go deep? Because it only comes with time, it only comes with relationships, and it only comes with your ability to really, really say, I'm a part of this community, I'm a part of the people who do this, and I'm willing to stick with this for the long term. So I would love to hear in the comments, see in the comments, what is your core expertise? What's the thing that you can go deep on? And as you share that, I'll be coming back and I'll be saying, hey, if you have a core expertise in something, maybe you should be a creator expert at one of our workshops. Maybe you do want to apply to be a guest in our 10th anniversary of our podcast. So that's what I'm really thinking about. Like, where can you say you can go deep? Because wherever you can go deep, you might consider being a speaker. You might consider doing workshops. You might consider doing conferences. You might consider doing your own little mini retreats. All of that because you can help more people. And by the way, it makes you a better artist, to be straight up with you, when you talk and teach. Teaching other people about what you do makes you better at it. So don't assume because, oh, I'm not that kind of person, I'm not an expert. Well, if you have a core expertise, you probably will get better at that thing just by explaining it more to other people. So that's our concept for today. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with this. And let's go ahead and do the share one more time. Oh, do I have my prescription stinger? No, I don't have it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just break it up so we can get back into the conference. I'm glad we took this 45 minutes out. Remember, our prescription for today is to subscribe to the Creator Resource Center. Okay, that is where you can get tickets to all of our creative workshops that are coming up. The January one on Bible study is coming up, including all the other ones that you can actually see from last year. With Dustin Peed on creating your creative processes, on prayer with Marlita Hill, on how to hear God's voice, on how to work out systems, or if you're ready to hire somebody with Trisha Harrison, so many other ones. And there are other ones that from 2 years ago. So basically get the entire library. And again, maybe you don't know if you can watch all these videos at once. I get it. But when you need it, I tell people many times, God and Gigs 360 is a library. It's not the thing that you have to stay there all the time. But when you need something, it's there. It's not like ChatGPT. These are real people who talked about real situations and real problems that they solved themselves. So highly suggest you go check out godandgigs.com. You can go to /CRC, or if it's easier for you, you can simply go to godandgigs.com/membership. And that will get you into all the things. Why can't I find it right now? Give me half a second. I got lost. Again, that's the one thing I'm getting used to. godandgigs.com/membership. There it is. I have to make sure you guys can see everything. Okay. So, my friends, that was our creative checkup from Orlando, Florida. We did it. We'll check out a little later to see if everything worked out fine, if I was able to go live and it didn't go crazy there. But I'm pretty sure it worked. I'm pretty sure the tech worked out for us. I'm saw the people who are coming in live. You don't want the comments. That's okay, because I know them again. Maybe sometimes you're watching and you can't comment, but I so appreciate you. I am looking forward to speaking tomorrow. Podfest. Podfest is a second family for us. It really is kind of like a second home for God and Gigs, a second home because of our pod match connection. So all of these things, these communities that we intersect with, it is such a blessing. I'm about to go check out the creators, Christian creators community again. They are actually called 362, which is super cool. Meeting some amazing creative and believers there. So, like I said, we managed to get it in through our live stream, but also we're also here to bless people here at Podfest. So super cool. If you're commenting, let me know what you think of this. And I would love to, again, to kind of hear what other resources you would like to find out from Podfest, like our community. What would you like to take? Would you like to get the videos from here? Because we can make sure that there's a link for you so you can get the videos from Podfest, including my own presentation, which I'll probably be making sure that's available. But maybe you want to get more information about podcasting and content creation and YouTube, because all of that is covered here. That's kind of like just the vibe. It's everything content creation and sharing your message. And the community vibe is just amazing. So highly recommended. If you didn't make it this year, that you make it next year. And my link will always be something where I will try to make sure I share it with you early, if I have any discount codes or anything like that, so that you guys can make the way down here to join us in Orlando. But until next time, continue to become the creative that you were created to be. God bless, and we'll see you next week. Tuesday, podcast episode. Friday, creator checkup live stream. God bless.